Shalom. This weekend is a very special weekend. It's a time of the year that I, in particular, and my wife, Leah, we reflect on the special women who are in our lives. First of all, Friday marks 26 years since we became parents to a beautiful daughter, Musi. And then Saturday, Shabbat, is a day that our daughter, Sarah, turns 19. And the same exact day, 5 years later, our youngest, Cyril, was born. So we have 3 birthdays in 2 days, 3 girls. Today, Thursday, is also my grandmother's yard site. My grandmother, Esther, my mother's mother, Aleh Shalom, passed away in the blizzard of 1969 in New York. Before I was born, I never got to see her. A very special woman who was on the way to bring food to her sister who was in the hospital, and unfortunately she passed away in the blizzard. And last but not least, it's also the yard site of our dear Rebbetzin Chaya Mushka, the wife and life partner of the Rebbe, Lubavitch Rebbe, for 60 years. She was a daughter of the previous Rebbe, and she married the Rebbe in 1929, end of 1928, beginning of 1920. And she was a very, very, very private person. Very few people had the merit, the fortune of knowing her. But those who did know her paint a picture of a very regal, caring, dedicated woman. A woman who helped the Rebbe in his research, a woman who helped the Rebbe guide Chabad, a woman who stood by her husband side by side while he did this tremendous work for Klal Yisrael, for the nation of Israel. We owe her a debt of gratitude, and we always reflect on this day of her contribution, how we could be dedicated to Am Yisrael. On Shabbat, we will read the story of the giving of a Torah on Mount Sinai, 3,332 years ago. The Jews had just left Egypt, and a month and a half later they journeyed and they came to Mount Sinai. And God wanted to make an offer to them. If you will accept my Torah, if you accept the rules, and you accept the rituals, and you become a mouthpiece for the world, you will become my dedicated people, my treasured nation, Am Segula. Do you want to accept this Torah? Do you want this Torah? So when God speaks to Moses and tells him to pass on this message to the Jewish people, he tells them something interesting. He says the following: Kot tomar lebeit Yaakov v'taged lebnei Yisrael. Thus shall you say to the house of Jacob and relate to the children of Israel. And he tells them, well, you saw how I gathered you from Egypt. I gathered you, I carried you on the wings of eagles, and I brought you closer to me. Now, if you hearken to my commandments, you will become a treasured people. You will be for me a nation of priests and a holy people. Our sages ask, what is the meaning of Beit Yaakov v'Bnei Yisrael? Why does it say twice? Why does God tell Moses to speak to the house of Israel, house of Jacob, and the children of Israel? Our sages say the following: Moses was commanded by God, first gather the Jewish women and offer them the Torah, and then gather the men and offer them the Torah, see if they want to do it. Our sages tell us, why is that? Why did God specifically tell Moses to go first to the women and to the men? One of the reasons given is that in the beginning of time, when God commanded Adam and Eve not to eat from the tree, at that point he commanded Adam and he told him to pass on the message to Eve, to Chava. Unfortunately, that didn't work well. This time God said, I'm not taking any chances, and this time I'm speaking to the women first, because they will be the guardians of a Torah. They will be the steadfast foundation of Jewish life. They will keep Am Yisrael alive. So today, tomorrow, this week, when we study and read about the Torah, we think about the special contribution of the women around us, the special contribution of Yiddish mamas, Yiddish techter, how they kept Judaism alive in the most difficult times. They kept the Jewish home together, and we owe them a debt of gratitude. Have a good Shabbos. And a special thanks to all the Jewish women, the mamas and the tat and the zayd babas and the kinderlach. Good Shabbos.